Hello, hello, hello. Bienvenido a todos desde Holbox, Mexico. My name is Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. Today is Tuesday, so you already know you are here for this week's episode of NIKKI BANZ Live. Hello, you gorgeous humans. How are you all doing out there? As you may be able to tell from this fabulous background behind me, I am not in Cape Town, South Africa at the moment, party people. I am in Mexico. I am on this beautiful island called Holbox. It is off the coast of Mexico. So as you can see, I have palm trees behind me. The sun is shining. It is 11 o'clock in the morning and I am living my absolute best life. I am so incredibly excited for you all to be joining me here on this adventure today for this week's episode of NIKKI BANZ Live. It doesn't matter where in the world your girl NIKKI BANZ is. I could be in Mexico, I could be in the United Arab Emirates, I could be in India, I could be in South Africa, I could be in the United States. It does not matter. This show happens every single Tuesday. This is your favorite celebrity interview series where I am bringing you live, exclusive interviews with some of the most incredible actors, rappers, dancers, entertainers, influencers, activists, and content creators from across the globe. Today's episode will be no different. I am so incredibly excited to have this live guest on today. On Instagram and on social media, he goes by the name On the Ground with Sai, but we know him as Psy Sethu. Sai is an Indian content creator and journalist telling incredible, extraordinary stories about ordinary people across the country of India. You know, whether it is a woman who has transformed her urban house into a jungle with thousands of plants in it, or a rural Indian village run entirely by incredible badass women who are the decision makers and leaders, or whether it's a doctor in rural India who has treated over 2 million patients absolutely for free. Sai is going across the country of India and bringing you exclusive, fascinating, never before heard or seen stories, and I am so incredibly honored to have him as my guest today on the show. But before we bring Sai on, once again, if you are not following me already, you already know the vibes. At They Call Me Bands on Instagram, go ahead and follow, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every single week after I interview these incredible guests who I have on the show, I upload my videos onto YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch every single episode of NIKKI BANZ Live there. This show has been happening every single Tuesday for over 6 months now, so the content is unparalleled. I'm bringing you all the juice, all the sauce with all sorts of fabulous people. Shout out to everybody who's here on the IG Live today. I'm so excited to have you all here. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope you can see me okay. I hope you are seeing these fabulous palm trees behind me. This is by far the absolute best background that I have ever had ever in life on NIKKI BANZ Live. Like palm trees, like birds chirping. You can't hear the birds, I got my headphones in, but like, I love it, I love it, I love it. All right, party people, you did not come here to exclusively hear from me. You came here to see this amazing content creator, Sai, aka On the Ground with Sai, aka Psy Sethu. So let's get this party started. I'm gonna bring him on right now. No sound effects today because you know the little setup is a little bit, you know, different when you be traveling. This is my portable on the road show, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring him on right now. So party people, are you ready for today's episode of NIKKI BANZ Live? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes, you are. Here we go. I'm going to bring him on. The man. Let's give Sai a warm welcome, a warm round of applause. Here we go, party people.
Hi,
Hello, hello, hello.
how are you doing, Nicole? It's so good to see you.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you too. How are you, Sai?
I'm very well. It's lovely to see you with this background. Wow, that looks super inviting. Which part of the world are you in? Always traveling, Nicole.
I am always traveling, Sai. I'm just trying to keep up with you.
I'm so honored to be here. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Nicole. It's great to be on a panel with the most diverse personalities from all over the world. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sai, for coming on to this week's episode of NIKKI BANZ Live. I am coming to you right now from the beautiful island of Holbox, which is off the coast of Mexico. And I am so excited to be here. I was a little bit worried. My internet was like a little in and out, but I think you understand the internet struggle is always real.
Yes, yes. I want to ask you something. Is my audio okay? Yeah, good to go?
Yes, you sound fantastic. What about me? Can you hear me? Do I sound good?
Your audio is perfect, and I'm also getting like a tinge of the background noise. Like, so it's really good in a good way, in a good way. Like breeze of the trees, good stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I just bought these Beats like Beats. I think they're called Beats Buds. So they're my new headphones. I actually got them while we were in Dubai together, Sai, and like they're just like
Nice.
my life. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I like to start every single episode of NIKKI BANZ Live by telling people how I know the guests who are on my live show. Sai, I am so excited to have you here on my live show today. We know each other from working at the one and only Nas Academy. So you and I are both facilitators, both trainers together at Nas Academy. We actually teach one of the same courses. We teach billionaire Ritesh Agrawal's How to Turn an Idea into a $1 billion Business course. So we both teach that course together. And then we had the absolute privilege of meeting one another in real life in Dubai for the Nas Summit. So that's how we know one another.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and it's not just us. Like there are so many such diverse personalities from all over the world at the NAS Academy. So grateful for that, for bringing us together.
Yes, I completely agree. And that's one of the beautiful things about Nas Academy. So, for those of you all watching right now, if you haven't taken a course yet at Nas Academy, go ahead and do that right after this show. I need you to go sign up, nasacademy.com, go sign up for a class. You can have a class with me, have a class with Sai, but there's literally this international group of trainers like me from the United States, but living in South Africa, currently in Mexico, Sai, who is in a different city of India, like every single month. Like we are so diverse and so international, which is really cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's travel? What's life without travel, right? You know best.
Oh my God. Absolutely, Sai. Absolutely. Well, let's get this party started. I have so many questions that I want to ask you. If you're tuning in here on Instagram Live or if you're watching this rerun on YouTube, Sai and I are going to be live for the next hour. So if you're not following Sai yet, go ahead and do that. You can go on the top of your screen, click the little down arrow right in the middle of the screen. You can follow Sai. You can follow me at They Call Me Bands. So yes, we need you to go follow and support both of us content creators right now. But now it's all about you, Sai. So you have actually worn so many hats over the years, So you went from engineer to national TV journalist, and now you're a content creator. So when you meet somebody new, when you introduce yourself, how do you introduce yourself? What do you say when you meet someone new who's asking about you?
I think it's wise to introduce yourself as to what you're doing now with respect to what you're doing currently, because you are what you did in the past, but you are more valid as to what you did in the present. So I usually say I'm a journalist, content creator, and also now I'm also a trainer, a global educator at the NAS Academy. So I would say journalist and content creator. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think, it's really cool that you've had all these different backgrounds. It's incredible that you've been able to work in different industries. So I think that all builds to the type of storyteller you are and the type of content creator that you are. So tell us more about this incredible platform and page that you have on the Ground With Sai. How did it first start? Like, how did you get the idea? How did you decide, I'm going to become a content creator and tell amazing stories about people all over India?
So, short answer is that I was a journalist. I was working in mainstream television media in India in a couple of national channels. And then usually the mainstream media revolves around politicians and entertainers. It's never about the real people. It's never about the real issues. Okay. At least 85 to 90% of news revolves around the politicians and the so-called famous people, but there is no storytelling based on the people on real impact. So I wanted to create a platform where I could shed light on the people who are trying to change perspectives, trying to change things, who are living life in a different, completely different manner. I wanted to give a chance to my viewers to step into the lives of the unknown, of the hidden gems of India, of the change makers, of the trailblazers, of the people who are setting examples by the way they live, through their culture, through their traditions, etc., etc. It's infinite. And India is a magnificent country, as you already know. There are 30 states and so many union territories, and every state talks a different language. It's like the language differs from every few kilometers. So the diversity is insane. And I know for a fact that the world itself lives in India. And I mean that quite literally. So I just wanted to, try to capture that. And it's impossible to capture the whole country, but I want to do everything I can at my disposal to tell as many stories as I can. And that's the point. I wanted to start something that could create substantial impact on mindsets, on perspectives, and hopefully trigger people to create systemic change.
Oh my gosh, Sai, you are totally speaking my language right now because you're right. People don't know what they don't know. So you have to expose them to different perspectives, different languages, different regions of the world. And you do such a beautiful job of doing that through video.
Thank you.
So why did you think that video was the way to go as opposed to, being an author or writing stories? Well, how did you choose video as your medium of choice?
I chose video because one, I am very friendly with the whole idea of videos, and secondly, it's a visual medium. When you read a story, you have to imagine what is going on in the story, right? When you're reading an article, you have to imagine what is going on in the article. Whereas when it comes to a video, you can actually see it. There's evidence for what you're saying right in front of you, right? You do not have to substantiate it with numbers. You don't have to substantiate it with facts. You can show facts visually. Visuals are the hardest mode of facts, right? So I'd say the best way to convey what is actually happening in the most real time is video. And video is something that connects people, right? We live in a digital video world, right? And India is one of the fastest growing digital networking platforms in the world. About 40 to 50% of India is already acclimatized to phones, and it's only increasing, and there are 1.4 billion people here. So the limit is endless on all fronts. So yeah, all of these factors triggered me to move towards the video landscape more than writing or anything like that.
Yes, 100%. And I think that makes complete sense, right? Especially when you want to reach so many people in a method that's easy, in a method that people can really pick up on very quickly. Video is 100% the way to go. So then I guess my next question for you would be that at least all the videos that I've watched from you, Sai, all the videos actually seem to be in English. And like you were saying, there's so many different languages spoken, across India, across, just the one country where you're living in, and that the country that you share the most about. How did you choose English as the language that you wanted to use to share your stories, or do you have other channels that actually are in other languages?
Ironically, I'm the most comfortable with English. My mode of education, my medium of instruction primarily is English, although my mother tongue is another language called Telugu, and I'm from a state called Tamil Nadu where we speak a language called Tamil, okay? But I'm most comfortable with English. I studied English, I did college in English, and about 120 million people in India at least have learned English at some point in their life. So the Indian population is fastly growing English population as well. And of course, we have a huge colonial past where we were ruled by the British. And so English is a common language, a commonly spoken language, at least in the urban landscape, at least in the second tier, third tier cities of India. So you can create that's the beauty of that in India, is that you can create a language for an audience for any language, whether it's English or Hindi or Tamil or Telugu. It's really about what you're comfortable with, what you can create impact with. It's all about that.
I love that, Sai. And you are absolutely creating impact with your videos. No matter what the language. Honestly, I feel like I could just watch your video with no sound on, not even reading captions, and I would be learning something new and fantastic because you just do such a good job, as a visual storyteller. And I want to talk about that a little bit more because, you the way that you discover stories and the people that you're telling stories about, are literally people who like nobody in the rest of the world knows or has heard about before. And that's one of the most incredible things that you do, shedding spotlight on, you know, extraordinary stories from the most ordinary, everyday people. How do you find all of these amazing people who you feature on your channel?
That's a great question and a very interesting question, Nicole. So it comes from different channels. Okay, I have different channels of finding these stories, and they cannot be figured out through one way, because even as an Indian, I find it really hard to find these stories. Okay, even as Indians, when you see these stories, most of them are like, how do you find them? So that just shows that these people are not everywhere. So it is hard to find them. And coming back to how I find them is through different channels. Number one is, since I have a strong, robust journalism background, I have a good network of journalists, regional journalists all across India. So whenever I go to one state, I'll just be like, hey friend, just put me through some stories in this state. And they connect me to some stories. That is one way of doing it. Second way is I find them on the internet. The internet has everything. Google, you know, the internet has everything. So you do lots of research, you find lots of articles, one thing leads you to another, you reach one article, and then you find another person within that article. So prove that. That is number two on the internet. Number three is, the most interesting one is on the way. All the people that I meet are like-minded people. They all want to change the world, right, in their own way, in their own respect. So I find stories through my stories as well. That's the most interesting. When I go film a story, I just be like, sir or ma'am, do you know somebody else in this part of the country? And they'll be like, yeah, I know somebody else. I think you should go film them. So that's number three. That's route number three. And route number four is, I see them, you know, when I'm traveling, I observe very closely. Can this be a video? Can this part of the culture of this particular tribe be a video? Can this culture of this city be a video? So it's all of these four routes. You know, I take different routes to find stories, and, you know, somehow I find stories through these four routes. Something will click. Like, it's just a belief, some sort of belief in your journey. Like, there's stories everywhere. You know that.
100%, and especially somebody like you, Sai, who is just perpetually putting out good vibes only and good energy, then of course you're going to attract good energy. You're going to attract those amazing storytellers, those amazing, you know, people with really cool backgrounds. So yes, an energy exchange, 100%. And I also love, you know, like we said, that, you know, you're introducing yourself as a content creator, and that's what you're doing now. But it is really cool to see how your background in journalism is also allowing you to connect with different people in different states and different cities, because you have that background. And I think that's actually really cool as well. It's all, you know, it's all about networks, right? It's all about who you know, where you know them.
Absolutely.
I feel like you and I know that very well, Sai. And
Yes.
And I think I want to touch too, I want people to be able to hear, because, you know, the way that you actually travel to gather stories and collect stories is actually unbelievable. You spend a lot of time on the road, and you spend a lot of time traveling to then collect stories. So talk to us a little bit more about your journey as a content creator. Like, how, like, you know, talk to us about how you actually go to a certain place, how much time you spend there, how you collect the stories, kind of like a month in the life of Sai. Like, what does that look like?
Okay, in a nutshell, I'd say I'm probably traveling for half the month. And the rest of the half of the month, I do the work where I have to earn my money and my bread. So the rest of mostly I'm traveling for about 15 days to 20 days. That's the duration of time I travel. And I'll be like, I'll go to this state, and my target would be to go and film about 20 to 25 stories in one state. Okay, and no matter what, I have to film those 15 or 20 stories within those 20 days. So that's 20 days of complete hustle. I'll be like in local transport, public buses, finding hotels. You know, and in lots of these stories are in rural parts of India, like remote rural parts of India, where, you know, sometimes only one bus would go to that particular village, because the population of that village is pretty less, and you do not need more access to that. So you'll just have like a one bus or one train. So you have to, you know, talk to the locals, find people who know what the local culture is, local transportation culture is, the logistics is. and then go pick a bus on that particular time slot and then go to the village and film it. So this doesn't happen always, but there are lots of stories. I do it in this manner as well. So it's of course a lot of hustling, a lot of traveling, and internet is a huge issue in India. Like I told you, like it's a developing country in terms of internet. Only 50% of India is acclimatized to the whole internet idea. So internet can be a challenge. Researching these stories can be a challenge on the go. Suddenly you lose network. So there are lots of challenges, but you got to do what you got to do, and you just do it. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So it's a lot of hustle. It's a really really hard job. I want to tell that to everybody who's watching. Like I'm sure a lot of content creators relate to this as well. It's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of hard work and resilience and determination and all of those things and discipline. Yeah, but I don't think I do anything else than this. So yeah, that's my consolation.
Wow, Sai. Wow. I mean, I think it's really important for people to hear your story and for people to hear stories from content creators like you, because I think it's like very easy for a lot of people to assume that when you're a content creator and you have a pretty big following on social media, that like this work is easy, that it's easy to just find stories and create them and make videos about them and do all that. But really it's not. And you're really highlighting the lengths that you go to, not just like emotionally and mentally, but physically to even get to these places where you are interviewing these people and where you're collecting and finding these stories. And so thank you for shedding light, to all of us and reminding us that this is not easy, because like it's not.
It's not. It's really not. But I'll also say on the same page that it's the most fulfilling job. Like you'll feel extremely saturated at the end of the day. You're meeting the best of society. You're meeting the trailblazers of society, the people who are changing the world. Every single story is an incredible lesson by itself. You can derive so many lessons. Even if I stop working tomorrow, even if I stop doing videos tomorrow, I have enough lessons for the rest of my life. And I mean it like, yeah, verbatim. Like, so I think it's about how exhilarating it is. It's about how educative it is. It's about how much it pushes you to be the best version of yourself. That's the best part, right, Nicole?
Absolutely. I mean, if we're not growing and learning and taking information from every experience that we have, then are you even living? I don't know.
Absolutely. It's all about the learning, right? You know best.
Exactly. And I'll just quickly say, for all of you who are tuning in here on Instagram Live right now with myself, NIKKI BANZ, and with our amazing guest on the Ground with Sai, if you want to ask Sai some questions, look at the bottom of your screen. Don't type it in the comment box. Go to the right of that. There's like a little thought bubble with a question mark in it. Click on that, type your questions, and for the last 10 or 15 minutes of the hour-long show here, I will ask all the questions that you have to Sai. So it won't just be me. We're trying to get the audience involved as well. So feel free to go ahead and ask Sai some questions. And if you're not following Sai yet, top of your screen, click the little arrow. You'll be able to follow Sai. You'll be able to follow myself. So make sure you stay involved and you stay connected forever and ever and ever. So, Sai, I want to touch on something that you just shared. You talked about all these lessons that you're learning alongside your travels. Tell us, what are some of the most powerful, some of the most potent lessons that you've learned throughout your travels, and who did you learn them from?
I'd say all these stories have incredible lessons in them. But to sum it up in a nutshell, like to tell you that all these people live life the way they want to. There is no restrictions and there is no bars or borders to how they live life. They live life just because they want to live life the way they want to live life. There is no restrictions to all of that. They completely believe in themselves and they do it for genuinely leaving authentic impact, indelible, authentic, incredible impact. So that's the main lesson, is to really be as authentic as yourself as you can. And second is just believe in yourself. And third is do whatever you want to do, and people will follow your journey at some point of the time. Your community will form itself around you if you just continue on your journey and if you just believe in yourself. Those are the biggest lessons, and lots of great stories. I think my favorite one would be something that you mentioned in the beginning of this live as well. Is this cardiologist in the south of India who has dedicated his life to treating patients for free medical assistance for thousands of people. He runs the world's longest free clinic. You should check his story out. His name is Dr. Ramana Rao from the south of India, and he treats 2,000 to 3,000 patients every single week for free. Monday to Friday, he earns all his money, and Saturday and Sunday, he treats 3,000 patients for free. Okay, and free medicines, free food, free treatment, with a huge community of doctors who are assisting him in the process as well. So here's this guy who's dedicated his life for the welfare, for the health of millions of people. He's literally, if we have to call someone as living God, that is living God. So it's personalities like this. And and there's so many amazing villages in India as well. There's something called the Whistling Village of India, where everyone's name is a whistle. You have another one of that kind in Turkey as well. Everyone's name is a whistle. There is another village that is completely run by women, the administrators, the rack pickers, everyone from the rack pickers to the administrators. All the roles are played by women in a village in rural India. Usually you'll expect rural parts of any part of the world to be a little bit conservative, right? But you have so many villages that live life in such a way that it's super progressive and way ahead of our times, that even the so-called biggest cities can adopt such ways of life. That's the most interesting. It's such a stereotype squasher, if I have to say. You can never expect what you're going to see. You can never expect how a story could be. India is full of surprises.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Full of surprises and full of so much inspiration. Like, when you have over 1 billion people living in a single country, in a single place, of course it's going to be full of such richness. And again, I think that's one of the reasons why what you do is so special, because you're sharing this and showcasing this with the rest of the world to people who maybe they've never been to India, maybe they'll never be able to go to India, but they'll be able to see, India through your eyes and through the eyes of all of these extraordinary people. Do you ever worry about getting burnt out with such a hectic travel schedule? You said you were, on the road for half the month, traveling, trying to document these stories, and I can imagine that, like, maybe sometimes you get lonely as well, when you're on the road so often. So how do you balance that?
Absolutely. Loneliness is a part of everyone's life, no matter how many people you have. So that's something that you just have to tackle and embrace and learn how to deal with it. That's it. It's not something that really pulls me down, but of course, at times I do feel lonely when I'm traveling for days, for 20, 25 days. But those moments are very short, and they are you can combat them very easily. Number one, and coming back to your question, is that I don't worry about being burnt out. I am burnt out. Let me be honest with you. But okay, that's in all honesty. But I take my breaks. I go for weekends with friends. I take my time off and come home for a good 15, 20 days. And that's enough to recharge myself. And even when I take a break for a long, substantial amount of time, all I keep thinking about is, damn, I want to go see more stories. So the only thing that keeps me going is these amazing stories. I really can't wait to tell more stories. That's something. So I'm physically drained because of the energy maybe, but that's natural. You just have to learn to combat that, right? You eat right, you work out right, and you can probably get that back. But if you have mental drain, then that's a problem. I don't have mental drain. I do have physical drain. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's good to know that even despite you being burnt out, and even despite all the hard work that you put into your storytelling and your video creating, that you still are able to take time for yourself and rest and relax and recharge.
That's important, right, Nicole? You know that best. Like, we got to take our time out.
Yes, we must. Rest is important, okay? Especially for, people of color everywhere who are working hard, trying to make a name for themselves, trying to change the world. Like, that is hard work. So good on you for taking the time to actually rest and relax. That is, like, super critical, super critical. So, Sai,
thank you.
What is the long-term vision for you? You create all these incredible videos, you share stories and you share information on your Instagram page, on Facebook, on all these, platforms. What, if you could, the biggest dream at the moment, what is the end goal? What's the grand vision? Where do you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Ooh, I love answering this question. It's such a good question. It's always good to dream, right, and be delusional. And this is such a kind of a question. Of course, a few years down the lane, or at least as fast as possible, I'd like my content to be watched by millions of people. That's the idea, to have incredible, substantial impact, immeasurable impact in a way that you can shift mindsets, in a way that you can govern and monitor how people think. That's the most powerful part of storytelling, right? You can literally govern how people think. You can shift mindsets for an entire generation if you can. We know so many people like that, right, Nicole? So that the idea is to have a huge audience base that gets inspired, that gets interested, that gets informed, and that who feel impacted through your storytelling, through your work. Absolutely, that is the long-term goal, and of course, it's to complete the whole country in India. I finished only about 12 to 13 states, and I still have so much left. More than half the country left, and maybe after that, of course, travel the world.
Yes, we'll see you here in Mexico very soon.
Living the Nicole Banister life.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we are all wishing you all of the millions of subscribers, all of the millions of views. You know, we all want that for you because you are telling really powerful stories. And, you know, it's interesting because I think when it comes to content creation, there's a lot of content creators out there who create content that's very interesting and very fun, but it's not actually making an impact, right? Like, we just watch it, we consume it, it's cool, it's interesting, but, like, it is not actually changing the world or changing the lives of people, who are watching it. And I think really, like I said, the stories that you share truly are shifting in that way. Have you ever seen, like, maybe somebody that you shared a story about, or a community or an organization that you shared a story about, have you seen, like, their dynamic shift since you shared a story about them? Or, like, have they gotten more media attention or coverage? Has there ever been any kind of success story like that?
I'm going to talk about the latest one, which happened like yesterday and day before. That is, I recently shared a video about the cleanest city in India. Okay, and to be very, very honest, a large part of India is not that clean. We are still learning how to be completely, fully clean, and that does not mean that that's an insult to our country. Our country has 1 plus billion people. It's hard to manage a country like that with 100% cleanliness, especially even when the so-called developed world suffers with that, right? So I did a video recently about the most cleanest city in India, and it went viral on the internet. The chief minister of the state, which I did it on, tweeted it out. He's probably someone who's equivalent to like a senator. Okay, so the senator of one of the states tweeted it out, and after that, India's biggest businessman tweeted it out. So it got like a huge uproar on social media, and it went viral on WhatsApp. So I'm very happy that a very meaningful video and a story about cleanliness has been widely watched. The impact can be immeasurable. You know, it's just a matter of time. You know it. Yeah.
Well,
The power of video, the power of a good story. It's undeniable. It can go anywhere. It can travel through borders. It can go to any part of the world. That's the power of a good video. Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. And I love that you're sharing that, because I think people need to remember that when you tell a good story, when you share information that's not only interesting and impactful information, but you share it well, and you share it in a way that is exciting and dynamic, that it will be shared. So congratulations on your viral video and for having all of
Thank you.
sisters retweeting it. That's awesome. I'm sending you all the good vibes, all the good energy for even more viral
Thank you,
videos.
Nicole. You always do that. Thank you for being the kindest and the funnest.
Hey, well, you know me. I'm just trying to put on good people doing amazing things all over the world. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
You really are.
You know, that's why I started NIKKI BANZ Live. I want people to just be able to connect. Like, right now, I'm literally watching people in the chat side. There's people tuning in from India. There's people tuning in from Mexico. There's people tuning in from South Africa. There's people tuning in from the United States. Like, you know, the whole world is connected right now through this live show and through your videos. The whole world is connected. And that's really what it's all about, you know, and hopefully...
Absolutely.
If you can't travel to these places right now, at least you can be there in spirit with a great video, and then, you know, in a couple of years you go visit.
Absolutely. We also have a Philippines represent. Hi, Andrea. And I also want to say that Nicole introduced the most incredibly diverse people. For everyone who's listening from all over the world, these people are setting standards for living. These people are setting trends. You should totally check her profile out. She does the most perspective-driven, deep dive, interesting interviews of all time. Like, it's amazing. Please check it out, friends.
Thank you, Sai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so truly honored to have you as a member of my NIKKI BANZ Live guest community now. You know, one of the things that I really want to do at some point, fingers crossed, if you had to ask me what my like 5-year goal would be, I would love to have like a retreat where I bring all of the guests from NIKKI BANZ Live all together and we just make absolute magic. You know, can you imagine, like, think about some of the biggest content creators in the world who I've interviewed. Think about Nas Daily, think about Michelle Carre, think about On the Ground with Sai, bringing all those people together in one space.
That would be mental.
Yeah, it would be so cool. So I'm gonna manifest that. I'm gonna put that out into the universe for anyone watching.
Manifest.
Yes, or for anyone who wants to fund this retreat, you know, call me. I'm open as possible.
Subtle.
I have no shame, Sai. I have none whatsoever. So we've mentioned content creation. I just mentioned Nas Daily now, and I want to talk a little bit about your journey to Nas Academy, you know, which is this incredible online learning platform where you can take courses, you know, alongside students from all over the world with incredible trainers like yourself, like me, and learn from some of the biggest content creators in the world. You know, founded by Nas Daily, you know, who has over 50 million followers across the internet, and we've got these really incredible folks, like I said, whether it's billionaire Ritesh Agarwal, who is teaching a course on how to pitch your incredible business idea to investors, or it's the chief marketing officer of Netflix, Bozoma St. John, who is teaching you how to be an absolute badass in the workplace, no matter what company you work for. There's these really cool classes and content. So, Sai, how did you get into the Nas Academy? How did you hear about it? How did you learn about it? What courses do you teach? What has your journey been like? Tell us the long version of the story, all things you and Nas Academy.
Okay, so it's a very interesting story. Okay, it's a crazy story in my opinion. So I started doing content, and you know, the reason why I started this journey is because of Nas Daily himself. I thought like, wow, look at this Israeli guy who's traveling across the world and who's having like unparalleled, undribbled impact through incredible human stories. Then I was like, oh damn, India is full of this. Let me quit my job and start telling stories of these Indians. So I start doing that, and 1 year down the lane, it's been about 2.5 years since I started on the ground. 1 year down the lane, I get a text on my WhatsApp from Nas Daily himself, and he says, bro, I love your videos. Okay, you're doing it right. And he says my tagline, stay on the ground with me until we make it. And I obviously lose my shit. I think one of the students, exactly that. One of the people within the NAS umbrella has showed my profile to him, and that's how he found me. He went and saw my videos. Can you imagine a guy who's one of the biggest personalities in the world took time out to watch my videos, took time out to send me messages after that? What a guy. I mean, we saw him live. We know how he is. We know his energy. But he texted me, and he was like, whoa, you're doing this? Let me put you through my team. I think you could probably be a trainer or something like that. And then later, 1 year later, one of our colleagues, that is Belik Yonatan, one of our dear colleagues, reached out to me because he heard my name from somebody in the NAS umbrella. And he was like, why don't you be a trainer? And then that's how I got recruited into the whole NAS Academy. And it's been, oh man, what an experience. It's been, the whole year has been like an experience. It's not even a job in my opinion, Nicole. It's literally an experience. Every day is an experience. You meet the most incredible people. In 1 year, we've taught about 1,000+ students from 100 countries. We can go so far to say that we are literally global educators now. And that just happened just like that, right? So the whole thing is like an experience, and I wanted to live life. I wanted my job to be an experience. So yeah, what better way to do it than this? And in Dubai, it just elevated the whole experience, right? We had trainers from 25 countries. We had creators from 100 countries. The experience was, it's impossible to even describe. You know what it was in Dubai during the NAS Summit. So it's been amazing. I'm so grateful for the NAS Academy. I mean, we met because of that. You are in Cape Town. I'm in a second-tier city in India. What are the chances? What are the chances of us meeting in the 7+ billion people in the world? Right? It's so random. There's only one platform in the world that can do it, and that's Nice Academy. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I feel like we're gonna need to cut this clip out, send it to Nas Academy. They could use it as a promo video for why the Academy is so
We've
awesome.
endorsed it so much.
Literally. But everything you said is absolutely right, and I parallel and echo your sentiments, tremendously, Sai. It's like to be able to come together with this global community, and not even just, the people who work there who are all truly global and from all over the world, but students. We have students like Andrea and other students who are literally in the chat right now here on Instagram Live commenting, and it's bringing people together no matter what your background, your race, your religion, and we need more of that, especially in the world as it exists today, where it seems to be like we've got polar opposites, right? We've got worlds and cities and communities where they're so inclusive and they're so diverse and they're so dynamic, and then on the flip side, there's cities that are full of so much hate and so much mistrust, and so much just stigmatism and prejudice. So it's really
Yeah.
important that we continue to bridge that gap, and make sure that whether it's a live interview like this, or it's a story told out of a rural village in India, or it's a class at Nas Academy, that you're being exposed to the diversity and the breadth of people around the world. So it's really cool that you're not getting a chance to do that.
Absolutely. Thank God for that. Thank God. Thank God. Whoever God is.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. So, besides teaching courses at Nas Academy, do you have any other side hustles that bring in income for you, or is it sponsors, or how do you make the money to do what you do, traveling all over India and collecting these stories?
So, to be in all honesty, the first 1+ years, I didn't make a buck. Okay. And I was ready for that. If you're starting something that is so out of the box, and if you're starting something that is totally not mainstream, and the creator economy is something that has been very recently booming in the last 2-3 years. So I couldn't even see the future that time. I didn't know what the future could be. But then the opportunities for creators nowadays are incredible. So I want to say that for the first 1.5 years, I didn't make a buck, but I come from a privileged background enough, to take those risks. But I understand that not many people have that privilege to take those risks. But after that, only after I got a job at the NAS Academy, my flow of income is regular and stable. The biggest advantage is that it's the Indian rupee against the American dollar. We get paid in dollars. So when it's converted to Indian rupees, it's good amount of money for a single person. It's easy to, survive. It's easy to travel. India is not an expensive country in many ways, especially against the dollar. So yeah, that's how I make my money. Sometimes I get paid partnerships. That's rarely. I've also worked with World Wildlife Fund. That's a small project I did to film stories about conservation and wildlife and tribal communities. So yeah, that's how I earn money in a nutshell.
That's great. No, that's really great. And I think we appreciate your honesty and your transparency, saying that for the first year and a half you didn't make any money as a content creator, because I think a lot of people go into this journey thinking, okay, I'm going to become Insta famous and I'm going to have all these followers and all these sponsors. I'm going to make all this money off of, YouTube ad revenue. And here you are being like, nope, I went for a year and a half and didn't make any money at all as a content creator. And I think we need that vulnerability. We need people to know that this is the reality of getting into this world.
Yes, that's the reality. Yeah. Instagram or Facebook or YouTube is not even remotely as glamorous as it looks as a creator. It's a lot of hustle and a lot of determination and resilience and discipline. It's all of those adjectives put into your journey, and it's the only way you can make it work. It's the only way you can create impact. And I think that's with everything, right, Nicole? If you want to create incredible impact in a way that if you want to do something that nobody has done, you got to have those sacrifices. You got to do those things. That's the discipline. That's the whole formula for doing something of that kind, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's also how you know that it's your passion, that it's the thing that you want to do, because you're like, even if I don't make money for a year, I am still so happy doing what I do. I'm going to keep doing it and just have faith that the money will come.
Yes, you know what I often think about? This is something I realize in retrospect. If you're doing something you love, and if you don't get paid for it, that's what you should be doing. The job that you'll do for free is the job that everybody must be doing, because it comes right from the heart. It comes right from the mind. So I think that's how it should be. Yeah, you should do a job that you'll do even for free. That's your real passion.
Ooh, dropping bars on us, Sai. Okay. That might have to be the quote of the interview right there. Do the job that you would do for free because that's your passion. Yes, give it to us. Give it all to us. Congratulations, Nicole.
You're deriving all of these pearls of wisdom from me, Nicole.
well, that's my job that I do for free.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left on this Instagram Live, or if you're watching it on YouTube, you're watching the rerun, we've got 15 minutes left. So just a reminder, I'm going to ask Sai, I'll ask you like one or two more questions. Oops, sorry, my phone is flying in the wind. I'm going to ask you one or two more questions, and then I'm going to throw it over to the fans. So if you have a question for Sai and you haven't asked it yet, look at the bottom of your screen. It's got like the comment box, and then there's a video, then there's a little human-looking thing, then there's a little circle. Okay, there's a little circle with a question mark in it. Click on that, and you'll be able to ask Sai questions. So the last 10 minutes of the show, I'm going to be going in there and asking Sai all the questions that you have. So please drop them in that little bubble with the question mark on it, okay? So, Sai, the last thing that I'll ask you before I throw it over to the fans who are joining us today is,
Fine.
for those of us who are your friends, your fans, your followers, what can we expect in the next couple of weeks or months, and what can we do to continue to support you on your journey?
Okay, I think the first question would be lots of videos. I have a line of amazing stories, some of the best stories that I've ever filmed until now lined up for you the next
Wow.
3-4 weeks, and I'm very excited to write them and edit them for you. So that's what's on the line for the next 1 month. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And the second question was, what did you ask me, Nicole?
I was asking, what can we do to continue to support you on
Yeah.
your journey?
Just keep watching. That's the best thing you could do. Just keep watching. Just keep supporting these stories. You don't have to support me, for example. Like, you just have to support these stories. These are incredible stories. They deserve to be told. They deserve to be shared. They deserve to spread because they can inspire an entire generation, right? So it's important, to share them. Even if you don't share them, just keep watching. That's the best thing you could do, is to be on the ground with me. That's it.
Yes. Be on the ground with Sai. Well, I am certainly on the ground with you, my friend. I hope we've inspired.
Yeah.
I hope we've inspired everyone who's on this live to be on the ground with you as well. I will say it, again, if you have not followed Sai yet, go to the top of your screen where it says NIKKI BANZ Live. Click on that. You'll be able to follow Sai. You'll be able to follow me and continue to follow this incredible content creation journey that Sai is on, telling, extraordinary stories all over India and then soon the world.
Thank you so much. And I also like to take this opportunity to thank Nicole for this amazing live. I had such a great conversation. I know this is not over, but I also want to say that once again, Nicole interviews some of the most incredible, diverse personalities from all over the world. She's an amazing interviewee, and you should really check out her IG lives every week. She does a weekly show. Please follow her if you want perspective. Please follow her if you want to know the best people all over the world.
Thank you so much, Sai. I appreciate that so much. And like I said, what a treat to have you as part of the NIKKI BANZ Live guest community. The community is growing. I love it. India is like representing hard in my community of guests who have been on the show. So I am like honored to have you and to have an hour of your time. So thank you, Sai. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to throw it over to the fans here who are here on the IG Live, and I'm going to ask some of the questions that folks are asking. So what I am going to go ahead and share. So our friend Andrea, this is Andreality. She's saying, not a question, but I would love to get, I would love to just shout out that you are such an inspiration, Sai. So you have some big fans in the audience.
That's so nice of you, Andrea. Very kind of you. You're an amazing content creator. Keep creating. I love watching your videos. It comes right from the heart. Keep doing it.
I love that. So the next question that I have here is, this is actually from my mom. Shout out to my mom who's watching live today.
Hello.
I love it. My mom is currently in Texas, so she's tuning in. My mom is asking, did you ever get She's saying, did you ever get to be part of the story by accident? So, like, that's a very interesting question to me. Like, was there ever like part of the story that came up or was discovered by accident? Like, you maybe went for one story and then something else came out of it.
Yes, yes. I find a lot of stories by accident. Sometimes I'll just be, traveling and I'll just like witness like, one particular part of something that is very cultural in one part of the city or in one part of the village. For example, once when I was traveling through one state in South India in a bus, I saw like 3 streets full of market of vegetables. Okay. And I found that very odd because you have like a small market in like a particular area in somewhere in the town. That's where people generally go buy vegetables. But here I saw like 3, 4 streets full of carts of vegetables. And I found it very interesting. So I got down and I went and asked those people as to what is happening here. And they were like, I'm going to translate it for you, obviously. And this is called the vegetable sufficient village, where every single house in that community grows their own village, has their own farm right in front of their house, and eats food right out of their backyard. So every single house in the entire village is sufficient for their nutrition. And they all have surplus vegetables, which they showcase on the carts on the main streets. So yeah, that is a story by accident, if that's what you're asking me. And yeah, this happens quite often, I must say. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool to think that you were literally just going to one village for one story and then an entirely new one popped out of it. But I think that really speaks to how you are as a storyteller and as a journalist. Like, you're always looking for stories that can come out of anywhere. You're just on the bus, and you see something happening, you're like, what's that? Boom, new story.
Absolutely. Like I said, Nicole, the stories are everywhere. It's all about how you see it. It's all about how you view it. It's all about that. Like how anything can be a story if you have the ability to derive a story from that.
Yes, and you are the storyteller extraordinaire. So
thank you. It's so kind of you.
You are so welcome. So I saw a question in the chat from our dear friend Ross Jennings, aka the First Piper, who has also been a guest on NIKKI BANZ Live and works closely with me and Psy at Nas Academy. Shout out to Ross. We love you. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Ross. We love you.
So Ross, aka the First Piper, is asking Psy, how do you select your stories? Do you actively search for stories or people, or do people reach out to you?
Very good question, Ross. I love that question. So it's usually me reaching out to them. Okay. Rarely do people say like, okay, there's a story here, sir. Why don't you come cover it? Okay. But most of the time it's me finding stories by reading, by finding out on the internet, by connecting with journalists. But you asked me a very interesting question as to how do I pick stories based on? Okay, I pick stories based on what I call as the 4 I's. Okay, that is interest, inform, inspire, and impact. If when I read a story, I feel all of these things, all of these factors, if it checks all of these boxes, then I'm like, okay, let me go film it. Because when a story has all of these 4 elements, it's 100% going to be a good story, right? So that's how I pick stories, based on these, what I call as the famous 4 I's. It's something I set for myself, yeah.
Okay, tell us one more time, the famous 4 I's. Inspect.
Inspire, inform, impact, and interest.
Okay, okay, I like that. Famous 4 I's. I'm gonna like keep that to memory because that's great. I love that as a way of identifying, new stories and what you should be sharing.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for answering that, Sai. Thank you, Ross, aka the First Piper, for that amazing question.
Thank you, Ross. Amazing question.
Yes, love it. And then there's a fun question here from Pablo Escaram, who's asking, when is On the Ground with Sai going global?
Oh, that's one of my friends, and thank you for asking that, Pablo Escaram. I'll go global right now if you give me the money to ask short answer. But long answer would be, I hope my journey takes me global. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for global opportunities. There are so many incredible stories. Like, we know so many people at the NAS Academy who come from not so the developed countries. The media has, a very conventional way of covering news. Like they focus only on the top five or the so-called top 10 countries of the world, right? But we have 200 countries, 200 plus countries in this world. And most of the countries whom we don't even know the name of. Okay. So I'm very keen and curious to explore stories in countries. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Are you with me?
Hi, Sai. I am still with you. It seems like you cut out for just a second.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
No, I'm here. I'm here. You cut out. I couldn't hear just like the last couple of things you were saying. Like you gave us the short answer, which was funny. If you had money, you'd go global right now. But then you were just telling us the long answer, and that's when I lost you.
Yeah. The long answer was I was trying to tell you that the news focuses on the global 5 or 10 or the 15 countries of the world, right? And the stories that get generated out of those countries. But the truth is there are 200 countries in the world, and there are so many incredible, untold, hidden stories all over the world. So I'm very curious and I'm very keen to explore parts of the world that remains unexplored, right? So many parts of Africa, so many parts of Asia, so many parts of South America that people don't even visit. And that's just really sad because every country is magnificent on its own terms, on its own kind. So I want to tell stories on a global level, hopefully. Like even today, one of our friends that is a first piper himself shared an amazing story about life-size carpets made in this country called Guatemala, right?
Wow.
That's something that we never even know. And there's so many amazing villages in the world. There's so many amazing cultures and traditions in the world that nobody talks about, even in a so-called digital world that connects all the people of the world. But the truth is, we live in a bubble within those 5, 6 countries, and the rest of the world remains unexplored, at least to the major part of the world. Would you agree to that?
I would 1,000,000,000,000,000% agree to that. And as someone who has done, a lot of travel across the African continent specifically, I oftentimes find that people are shocked that I'm going to the countries that I go to. They're like, "Wow, you went to Sudan. Wow, you went to Equatorial Guinea. Wow, you've been to Malawi." And these are countries that people have never heard of, or they're countries that people have never even fathomed visiting before. And I'm like, but why? It's such a big, beautiful, bold world out there. Like, if I could go to every single country, I would.
I know. So yeah, we should do our best to shed light on the stories that usually get overshadowed by the top so-called 5, 10 countries of the world, where the world is really big, it's really magnificent, and we know so many content creators ourselves within the realms of the NAS Academy who do stories that we don't even talk about, right? So yeah, the dream would be to tell stories that nobody does on a global scale.
Well, we are going to manifest that into reality so that it is no
Manifest,
longer,
manifest.
yes, it's no longer a dream. It is your lived experience. It is your day to day. We are certainly going to put that out into the world for you, Sai. I am just like, I'm so inspired by you. Your stories are so heartwarming and touching. You have such a clear and concise way of sharing information about these different people and communities that you highlight. So please keep going. We're all staying on the ground with you, Sai, because
Thank you.
we
Thank
need
you.
more of your content and more of your stories in the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That was amazing. I had such a great conversation with you. You are such a good interviewee. I don't have to say that. You're such a good host. Friends, like follow Nicole Banister. She does amazing interviews all the time from all over the world. Thank you for giving me a platform to tell my story. Hopefully, I can do this in the reverse manner very soon.
Yes, anytime, Sai. We can go live. We can do a podcast, whatever you want, Sai. Anything for you.
Thank you, First Piper. Everyone go check out First Piper too. He's a one of a kind human being.
Yes, indeed. And I've interviewed the first Piper. He's tremendous. You can watch every single former interview on NIKKI BANZ Live, either on my YouTube channel, just type in Nicole Banister or NIKKI BANZ. You can find him there, or on my IGTV. I've got all the stories there. So, Sai, your video will be staying on there forever and ever. I'll put your video, this interview, on YouTube so people can watch it. So it'll be out there in the universe forever and ever. So once again, I can't thank you enough. Any final words, final thoughts you want to share with anybody here on Instagram Live or on YouTube?
Thank you for all of them who joined. I saw about 40 people join in the beginning. It was awesome. I'm glad. I can't believe 40 people want to listen to us. It's surprising, but it's awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole, for this amazing interview. I had an amazing conversation. It was so insightful. It was so perspective driven as always. I don't know how you do it, man. You just derive answers from people. I think it's a great skill, right? I also interview people all the time and have so much to learn from you. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in. And yeah. Stay on the ground with me and
We
Nicole.
will. We definitely will, Sai. Thank you again for being a guest here on NIKKI BANZ Live. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I go live every single Tuesday with awesome content creators, activists, and storytellers just like Sai. So I hope to see you next Tuesday again. All right, Sai, have a beautiful rest of your night. I'll chat with you again soon, and thank you so much once again. I have to say adios from Mexico, and I'll see you on the other side.
Bye-bye. Have fun in Mexico. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining. Take care. Have a good night. Nicole, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Sai. Bye, everybody.